much for stopping by the channel. My name's Leah, and let's recap and review Love and Marriage DMV, well, DC. This is season 1, episode 2. It was alright. But let's get into it. The episode opens up with Monique and Ashley basically complaining about their husbands. They were trying to make it like they weren't complaining, but I thought this scene dragged on for too long, mainly because we've already had them talk about this the first scene. Ashley wants Quick to take time off. He works too much and she feels like she's carrying the brunt or the workload of taking care of the children and the things that she wants to pursue and her passion she doesn't have the time to because of her kids. Monique is saying the same thing, and they were trying to dress it up like they weren't complaining, but you were basically complaining. And like I said, Monique and Chris have been together for 10 years. Monique feels like they're at like the 10-year itch, whereas normally the 7-year itch, like from what Ashley said. But she was like, we've been doing the same thing for 10 years, and I'm trying to figure out if I want to do it for another 10 years. Then you have Ashley, who's been married for 13 years, and she's like, she wants more. She loves her husband, but she wants more. And I get that. I just felt like this scene dragged on too long, because why did we need to know about Ashley wanting to get Botox in her arm and in her underarms? Like, it wasn't funny, nor was I felt like it was needed. I guess she'd been sweating too much. She thought she was going through menopause, and they both kind of was like they didn't understand what that did. And I'm like, a quick Google search will tell you. But mainly when you get Botox in your underneath your arms or anywhere, it like stunts something, like it makes it pause or freeze, so like it can't work anymore. That's why people get it in here, because it stops everything. So I was just like, oh, okay. So then we have a scene with Quicksilver. He's meeting up with his manager. I don't remember. Sean and Quick have been working together for like 20 years. I thought it was funny when Quick was like, he's my everything. But we find out that when Quicksilver's dad died, when he was 18 years old, Sean really said he got him, and he showed him by actually putting actions to his words, and he's been there for him ever since. They're talking about CIAA. If you don't know what CIAA is, it is basically like All-Star Week, but for HBCU's basketball teams. And as someone who used to live in North Carolina, I don't know why Charlotte was stupid to let CIAA go, because it used to be lit. You like my sister stayed in Charlotte, I stayed in Greensboro, and like the parties that people would have, like there would be celebrities there. It would be like reality stars, but it also would be celebrities, and Charlotte would get so much money from like people coming there for tourism, all the events and day parties and stuff. Like when I tell you the city, people got money, it was lit. It was lit. And I just can't believe that like they allowed a stupid bill to let them lose such a lucrative opportunity. So now CIAA is in Baltimore, and ain't nobody going to Baltimore, but it's in Baltimore, and Quick is going to be hosting like a lot of events. I think he said at least 15 events, and they want to make sure, him and his manager, and I think a rep from CIAA came to make sure he doesn't work himself to the bone. He said that he has worked himself into the hospital or to passing out. And I'm just looking at him like, by doing what? Because, I mean, I get it. DJing, you're on your feet, you're turning up. Is it that you're not sleeping or eating enough? What else are you doing? Because I don't think, you know what, maybe they hosting like daytime events. Because CIAA does have a lot of daytime events. Like, they would always have like a natural hair event, because it's for HBCUs, so it's like a plethora of black events. You could get so much merchandise and like unique pieces when they would have events at different parties, and the day parties would be fun, and so was the nightlife. Like when I tell you Charlotte was stupid, North Carolina was dumb to let that go, I can't, y'all. That never made sense to me. So then we have a scene of Monique going to meet with, I think the executive is called, I got it in my notes, YPGC morning show. So I guess it's a morning show where they have newscasting, and like they talk about kind of like a Dish Nation, I would say, but the DC version of it. And she worked with them before, and now they want her to work again. I don't fault the man. I think his name was what was his man's name, y'all? Todd, I thought I was about to call that man Toby. Todd basically was like, he brings up Potomac. He was like, are you good? We don't want you to bring reality TV or what was on reality TV to the radio show and making it a reality radio show. And she was like, oh my gosh, I just have so much PTSD. I can't get away from it. And it annoys me. Because I'm not gonna fault the lady if she does have PTSD pertaining to what happened on Potomac, but it shows how much people are full of it, and I mean clearly full of it. When Monique can reference PTSD, but when Candace references it, she's dragging it out. She's such a baby. Da da da. But this lady can talk about it on a whole other network where she doesn't even refer to the show by name. She just calls it that other show. And there's no Twitter threads. There's no uproar. And I don't know if there's no uproar because people not watching it, or there's no uproar because y'all are okay with her talking about it, but the other person that was in the same situation because of her. Because I love how Monique like she's trying to rewrite history. Like she didn't start with the lady the whole entire season, and then all of a sudden she can say that she has PTSD, but when the other person does it, she gets laughed at and she gets ridiculed. And then y'all wonder why people bring up the whole colorism trope or things of that nature when y'all don't have the same reaction to this lady who has referenced this show. And we've only been in this season 2 times for 2 episodes, more than 5 or 6 times. At this point, it's looking like you are pressed. But okay. So then the next scene we see is Chris meeting up with Kevin. Kevin ran through. I'm sorry. Like, he did not look that old to me when they were showing him through the trailer. But then they show him here having this meeting with Chris. I was like, oh, he looked like he's 60. Like, it threw me off because in the trailer, he looked a lot younger to me. Well, Chris wants to sit down with Kevin because I guess they've known Kevin longer than they've known Winter, or maybe the same amount of time they've known Winter. And basically what they want to get from Kevin is like his side. Well, Chris wants to get his side of the story as it pertains to why him and Winter are getting a divorce. Whereas Monique doesn't believe Kevin. She believes Winter because Winter is her friend. So Chris sits down with Kevin. I got annoyed that they did a time lapse on Kevin because it's like, it seems like Kevin and Kevin and Winter's issues is going to be a focal point of the show. And it doesn't make sense to me why they wouldn't let him explain his side of the story. And I get it, maybe he was going on and on and on, but it just didn't make sense when, like I said, they're going to be a focal, the whole scamming, like alleged scamming, is going to be a focal point of the show. So why not hear his side of the story? So basically what we find out is that the company that Kevin was working with, I guess, suspected that he was taking company funds and splurging on Winter's children. Winter has 4 kids that are not Kevin's, and I think Kevin has like a son or maybe 2 other kids that are not Winter's. Well, they got married. They were 6 months into their marriage, almost coming up on their 1 year. I think, did they say 6 months? No, they were almost in a year in, but they haven't spoken in 6 months. They were almost a year into their marriage when Winter got a message from someone. Well, Kevin is trying to explain that like the company thought he was taking funds and taking the kids out like on an ice rink to the ice rink. And my thing is like, any money missing would make somebody feel some type of way. But I'm like, is it that much money? Because honestly, ice skating, especially like in DC, depending on where you go ice skating, or even if you go ice skating in Virginia or Maryland, is no more than like 20 or 20. I'll give you $30 at that, depending on how big the rink is. If the rink is but so big, they normally only charging like $10. And if she got 10 kids, that's $40. Now if they're like doing it downtown in DC or like near the harbor, then $40 or $30, I get it. But I was just kind of like, why are they suspecting that you took that money? So basically the company suspected that he was taking money, splurging on the kids, and then I guess that started like a spring roll or a downward spiral to where everybody in the company started to think that Kevin was siphoning money out the company. So Chris walked away from that meeting basically feeling like he didn't know what to believe. He thought like Winter was telling the truth, but he also feels like Kevin might be telling the truth because he's like, from what he knows of Kevin, Kevin never gave him that feeling that he might be into some shady dealings. Basically. So one thing I'll say before we get on to the next scene, they did a flashback, or I guess it looked like Kevin and Winter's like auditioning tape, and it stated, I think it was like 9 months ago, or let me see, y'all, it's in my notes. Yeah, 9 months ago, and it seemed forced and a little scamish. Like, I might be reaching, but they're definitely giving me not Portia, but yeah, honestly, kind of like Portia and Simon vibes, Fallon and Simon vibes, where it's like they know the house of cards is falling, but we gonna fake it until we make it, and we're all in on it. I'll say more so they give me Fallon and Simon vibes, where it's like they both know what's going on and what it is. It just feels weird. Like the video felt weird. So the next thing we see is Jamie, this guy named Nolan, and then Quick, and they're just having dinner or like lunch, and they're just talking, and then they're both talking about CIAA. Like I said, Quick got like 15 events that he's gonna go to, and Jamie's JJ Entertainment is one that hosts and promotes a lot of parties. So he was like, they gonna be beefing out at the party scene, but they're gonna have like a huge party at the end of CIAA. And I think it was Quick or Nolan asked Jamie, like, how does Arena feel about, you know, all of this, like about you like, you know, being a part of the nightlife? And he was like, Jamie was like, I'm gonna be serious with you. She don't like it, but as long as I'm bringing money in, it's cool. But it seems like they've had like infidelity and trust issues with him being a part of this scene. And that's understandable in the sense of like, you going out long hours of the night, and if y'all don't have that strong of trust, you're always going to be in the back of your mind thinking like, well, is he doing this or is he doing that? Or if the roles were reversed, is she doing this or is she doing that? So then the next thing we see is Monique, and we're at her home, and they're getting ready. She's going to have a vegan style lunch, or not lunch, dinner for the people. I didn't like the fact that the cook didn't have no gloves on making them meatballs. I didn't like that. Like, if you're going to be a private chef, especially if you're going to feed me and my family, I'm going to need you to have on gloves. And that's not to say that like a person is dirty. It's just like you don't trust where everybody been. I'm sorry. Like, that's like when the pastor be like touch and agree with your neighbor. And if I'm not sitting by a friend in church, I don't want to touch and agree because I don't know where their hands been. Okay. Like, we all in church as wayward souls. I don't know what you be doing outside of church. So I was just like, I'm gonna need you to put on. And then he was like sipping, like, you know, tasting and stuff. And not to say you can't taste, but I was just like, I hope he ain't put that spoon back in there. It's just, I don't know. The moment I saw he didn't have no gloves on, I was like, what are the sanitary conditions? Like, are we following code in people's houses? You know, I will say the spread was nice. It was really nice. One thing I do find funny, and I'm gonna bring it up because she keep bringing up that other show, is we never got this from Monique, like in her own home. Like, we had that one season where they had that party where she kicked Giselle out. And then I don't think we ever had the ladies come back to her home. And maybe that's probably why, because she had to kick them people out. But I thought the spread of the table, it looked really nice. I will say, I think Monique and Chris need to like renovate their home. It seems very like dark, like, and very blocky. Like, I guess for me, I'm like more of an open space kind of person. But her and Chris are having this discussion, and I don't know why Chris kept doing this, but I think Chris thinks when he does this, it makes him look smarter. Or maybe this is his way of like collecting his thoughts, but it was annoying me. Like, he was like, you know, Monty, I don't know. You know, I think Kevin might be telling the truth, you know. I don't know what to believe. But I think Monique thinks her husband is less than smart. It's like, and she's very annoyed by him. Like, everything Chris does annoys her. Everything Chris does annoys her. she basically, her and Chris are having this conversation where, like I said previously, she is, I don't know if I said it, she was auditioning to be a part of this radio show. And if she gets the radio show position, she will have to be at work at 5 o'clock or 5:30 in the morning, because that's normally when people are commuting to work. And she was like, she has to talk to Chris because she doesn't know how Chris is gonna feel. And Chris was like, oh no, that's cool, I'm normally up, I'll feed the kids. And she was looking at him like, no you don't. And it's like, I guess she feels like he doesn't do anything, or maybe Chris feels like he does enough, but I guess not enough for Monique's liking, because then she kept making faces. And then when he brought up the whole thing about Kevin and Winter, she basically was being condescending, like, he bamboozled you, like basically saying he made you look stupid, because why do you believe him? And I'm kind of like, well, if he's entitled to believe Kevin just like you're entitled to believe Winter, to me they both swindlers, but they're both entitled. Like, you both two are entitled to believe your friend. Like, we end up finding out at the dinner that they've known Kevin just as long as they know Winter, so why would it look wrong for Chris to believe his friend Kevin? But they go on and like they go through this scene, and I just feel like Monique is just annoyed with Chris. Like, everything Chris does aggravates her. Like, everything that man does just aggravates her, and you can tell it aggravates her. So the next scene we see is of Quick and Ashley. And what I will say, although Ashley is starting to annoy me, I do feel like Ashley and Quick have the best, like, I won't say best, seem to have I will say, I don't know, I won't say best because you really don't know. Yeah, I'll say best. The best relationship out of like everybody there. Like, it seems like they're genuinely friends, and like right now they're just trying to really make a better balance for their life. Like, he needs to have a better work-life balance so she can have time to go and do what she wants to do in her life and with her endeavors, as well as he needs to do the same. Like, he needs to figure out how not to be working so hard where he works himself into the hospital. But it was a cute scene. They had rushed to go to before they went to the vegan dinner to go get crab legs and crab cake, which I would have did the same. No hate on the vegans, but it was cute. And they had like a moment, and it seemed like they really are friends. Like, he was just like, I like that we still do like corny things together, watching movies till we fall asleep, we talk to each other. It seems like they genuinely love one another, so I like that about them too. We then see we're back over to Chris and Monique's house, and Chris just sitting there. Chris cannot dress worth 2 pennies. For him to be like, for them to have money, I need Chris to invest in a stylist. Like, if Monique is gonna have a stylist, I need Chris to invest in a stylist. It's like everything he wears is too big. Like, everything he wears is too big. Like, this suit and tie, this shirt looks too big. The suit and the tie looks, it's just like everything that man wears is too big. And he's not that big. So I don't know. I need him to get it together. We then end up meeting, like I said, Nolan and what's the lady name? Because I took a picture. Put it in my notes, y'all. Oh shoot, I must have deleted it. Well, we meet Nolan and his wife, and I guess she used to be Monique's hairdresser. But everybody's there at the house. They're all cracking jokes about eating the vegan food and stuff like that. Arena is the only one that doesn't seem really pleased about it. She wants actual like food, but they all said the vegan food was good. They start to have like conversations about Covenisha, the Panasonic, the Panorama, and they're all sitting at the dinner table. We find out that Monique's been homeschooling her kids. She tells us that the real name of Africa is something else. I didn't get the name. And then they're going to Africa. So we all saw, like, I don't know if you are on social media, we did all see a lot of pictures of Monique and her family out in Africa, enjoying themselves. They went to the giraffe garden, I think that's what it's called, where we all see like the giraffes can peek their head into your door and you can feed them and things of that nature. then we got this really like disrespectful scene where Arena got excited. She was like, oh, that's so lovely. And then Jamie was like, hush. And I was like, she better than me, because everybody was looking at him. And then I'll give props to Winter, because Winter was like, that was disrespectful. Like, Arena was like, no, Winter was like, Jamie is not that drunk to make his wife go hush. I guess he just felt like she was doing too much. But I was like, she really wasn't. She was just like, oh, I would love to go. And for him to just be like, hush, she better than me, because I probably would have smacked his hand away or been like, don't tell me to hush. Like, I would have made a scene, but I guess she kept it calm, cool, and collected because she didn't want to make a scene. But it lends to what the trailer says, that if Jamie feels like he's the head of the household, so he can disrespect everybody, because in the trailer, Arena did say that like the kids feel, and sometimes me, that like we can't come to you, and if it's something you don't like, you blow up. And he shows that like that was rude. That was extremely rude. And one thing I did see a lot of people say online is how they didn't like how they were having this talk about what was going on about the virus and stuff. And Monique was like, I don't live by fear. It's not fear to mask up and still take precautions. Like, people still are getting extremely sick. Like, there's still there's still people in the hospital. Most of them are people who are unvaccinated are still dying. But like, I just felt like that was like the talk of it, especially when most of the people at the table have got it. Like, Jamie said he got it. Monique said she got it twice. Chris said he got it. And I think Nolan said he got it as well. And then Quick said he got it. So to have that, like, I don't live by fear, I just was like, that's very dismissive to people who still are cautious and scared. Like, people are still getting sick, ma'am. Like, that was weird. And that's why people be looking at her funny. Also, one thing, and like I said, everyone is talking about how they got sick and caught, COVID. And Monique starts talking about how she was, the second time when she got it, she was just extremely, extremely fatigued. And she lost a lot of like sodium or whatever. And she was saying how nobody was checking on her. So that made Chris be back in his chair like, huh? What you mean? And so she's telling the story how she was just like, she had to call and text to get someone to come check on her. So Chris is getting like visibly frustrated. He was like, you making me mad. You about to make me like blow up this whole event. And this is the thing about Chris, is they didn't like how Chris was portrayed in Potomac on season 5, where they said they made him look like aggressive and violent. But then when you make comments like this, it makes people look at you like, what you about to do? Because when he made that comment, Arena's eyes got big, kind of like, ooh, like what he about to do? And so did Winter's. And it's like, and even the men at the table were like, So it's like I don't know if Chris has the vernacular to say certain things. So I was just kind of like, you need to use better word choice, sir. So they're sitting at the table. He's getting upset and he's like, no, that's not what happened. This is the second time you're telling this story and that's not what happened. So he was saying how Monique doesn't like when people disturb her rest. She was saying how we're always disturbing her rest and that she wanted rest. So when I would come in and check on her, I would get yelled at for disturbing her. And she interjects and she's like, well, that was in the early on stages, but as it went through, I wanted people to come and check on me. And he was like, no, are you going to let me finish the story? And she was like, well, I'm not going to let you tell the story without telling it right. And he was like, something. And then they started, and then she was like, okay, finish your story. He was like, okay, then hush. And I was like, okay, no, Chris. And see, this is my thing. Monique was trying to shame Chris at the table. And she does that a lot. Like, she tried to embarrass him when they had that first sit down where she was like, he swindled you, trying to make it seem like he was stupid. And now you're sitting at a table amongst your peers and you're trying to shame him into making him feel bad because supposedly you didn't like the way he didn't take care of you. Now, I don't think Chris should have told her to hush. That was disrespectful. But on both parts, y'all embarrassed each other. You embarrassed him by trying to make him look like he didn't do what he needed to do, by shaming him. And then he embarrassed himself and you by disrespecting you the same way Jamie disrespected Arena by telling you to hush. So either way, you both look stupid right here. So she was like, don't tell. So then Monique's like, don't tell me to hush. And she was like, you're ruining the dinner. And I'm like, no, you ruined it by trying to embarrass your husband, ma'am. Like, you're not that slick. Like, I got what you was trying to do. And then she was like, I didn't say you didn't take care of me. And then they roll it back, and she legit said, you didn't take care of me. So I'm like, you're trying to gaslight him now, because you're trying to make it seem like he's not telling the truth when you in fact said what you said, ma'am. So then so all of a sudden she calms down and she said, no, when I told you how I felt, you didn't decided to take care of me. So then they squashed it because I guess it was over and done with and there was no need to go on. Chris apologizes to the table, and then they focus on Winter after that. They ask Winter, like, what's going on with you and Kevin? And then Monique lets it out the bag that Chris sat down with Kevin and that he still is in love with her. And like Winter said, which I give her that, where she was like, someone could love me all day, but if it doesn't feel right, then I got to go. And like I said, I do feel like there's some scamming in here, or some shystiness on both ends, because we end up finding out that Winter didn't know this man. She only had dated him for a year. They ended up getting married. She didn't know that he said he lived in a studio apartment, but the studio apartment, like a studio apartment in a basement. But we find out that the studio apartment was in his mom, like in his parents' home. Then Ashley chimes in and she was like, well, you didn't ask. And I was with Ashley, you didn't ask. You didn't know this man and you married him. So then Winter's like, excuse me, in her green screen. And then that's when Winter says that she's like a relationship coach. And I'm kind of like, but you don't have any success with relationships. Now, don't get me wrong. I do think single people and people who are divorced can be great relationship coaches, because if you're divorced, you can tell somebody what not to do and the signs of when you're moving that into that direction if you want to get a divorce, or they can tell you when it is time to get a divorce. And someone who's single can normally have a different perspective and be on the outside looking in. So I don't think there's anything wrong with someone not being in a successful relationship, not having success with relationships in certain aspects. But with Winter, it seems like Winter is all over the place. We get introduced to you. You have 4 kids with somebody. Then you get a divorce, 4 kids with somebody that you seem to have knowingly known was out here having affairs. Then you get a divorce. And then now we're having a discussion and we find out that you rushed into a marriage. You didn't know this man like that. And now you're having y'all are getting a divorce. It seems like you don't really know what you're doing. It really does. But we get more information about the whole Kevin situation and about that supposed email or text or whatever she got that rocked her world. So it doesn't seem like Kevin was cheating. It seems that the company is being sued for over a couple of millions of dollars, and all of Kevin's business partners have pulled out, and it seems to pinpoint that Kevin was the one doing some shady business dealings, allegedly. So she said, once I figured that out, I kept asking my husband, like, what's going on? What's up? And he kept saying, like, I'm trying to figure out what's happening. I don't totally know, but give me time. And she said time turned into months. And now here we are 6 months later, and we haven't discussed what's going on. So I don't know what's really transpiring. So here we are, and now we're getting a divorce. Because I guess she sent him, like, when he was having that conversation with Chris, when they were having lunch, we find out that her kids feel like Kevin love bombed her. But I'm like, a lot of people be using words about love bombing and like people being narcissists and gaslighting when we don't know the full, we don't know the full context. Like, I feel like a lot of us are using like psychology terms and we don't know them or we don't know the true definition. We just know what we've seen on TikTok and on Instagram and on Twitter and stuff like that, and even YouTube. But Winter's kids felt like Kevin was love bombing her. Then we also have like Winter not, like, now that she has that separation, her not contacting or having any contact with Kevin's kids. Then on top of that, Kevin is saying that he was trying to figure out what was going on while he was talking to Chris, but he didn't know what was going on, but Winter wouldn't give him the time. So it seems like they're telling the same story, but there seems like there's some discrepancies in it. And like, to Monique's credit, who are we to think Winter is lying? I don't think she's lying, but I do think there's something about this that's kind of shaky. But yeah, y'all, those are my thoughts. That's it. That is all. Remember to be bravely authentic. Drop down in the comments below and let me know your thoughts. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.